If you picture a Roman legionary, you likely see a very specific image, an identical iron helmet topped with a permanent red crest. But that image is a modern composite. Ancient writers used terms like Galea, but the Roman military didn't issue one unchanging piece of headgear for 500 years. To understand why the helmet actually looked the way it did, you have to look at the environment it operated in. Roman troops fought at extremely close range. A legionary faced down a constant barrage of slingstones and arrows from a distance, followed by heavy swords and spears swinging down toward their head and shoulders once the lines met. Protecting a soldier meant balancing conflicting needs. Armorers had to build a shell capable of stopping iron and blunt force without sealing the man inside a metal box. If a helmet deafened a soldier to his officer's commands or blocked his peripheral vision, his own equipment became a danger. The Galea was the practical answer to that problem. It was an adaptable system, continuously rebuilt and modified as Roman forces encountered new enemies and different styles of combat. Tracking the physical changes in the helmet's design over the centuries reveals exactly how the Roman army learned to survive its own violent expansion. The bare metal shell you see in a museum was useless on its own. If metal sits directly against the skull, a hard strike transfers the kinetic energy right into the bone. The complete system relied on a thick lining of leather or dense textile to absorb the shock and keep the helmet securely fitted. Early Roman forces relied on this bronze shape, known today as the Montefortino type. The Romans adopted this design from the surrounding Celtic and Etruscan cultures, scaling its production to equip their rapidly growing legions. Notice the smooth, uninterrupted curve of the bull. This was a deliberate choice. A smooth surface gives an incoming weapon fewer sharp angles to catch onto, increasing the chance that a heavy blow will simply glance off. As the Republic transitioned into the Empire, and Roman troops faced heavier bladed weapons in regions like Gaul and Germania, armorers adjusted. They began forging deeper bowls, increasingly relying on iron to provide stronger protection. The dome functioned as the primary component of a kinetic energy dispersal system, moving the force of a blow through the shell and the padding beneath to keep the wearer conscious. Drop down to the face to find hinged side pieces. They wrap over the jawline and sides, but specifically leave the mouth and ears exposed. Move up to the forehead, and you'll see a reinforced horizontal ridge protruding outward. This brow guard solved a specific lethal problem. If an enemy slashed downward and the blade hit the top of the helmet, it could slide straight down the smooth metal into the soldier's face. The protruding metal caught the blade before it reached the eyes. By keeping the face relatively open while deflecting blades away from the eyes and jaw, the helmet ensured a soldier could communicate, breathe under exertion, and maintain vital situational awareness in a tightly packed formation. In battle, a legionary tucked behind a large rectangular shield. The shield absorbed front-facing attacks, but if an enemy strike hooked over the top rim of that shield, it aimed straight at the vulnerable base of the neck and shoulders. To defend against this, early designs like the Kula-style helmet featured a relatively flat guard projecting horizontally straight out the back. Look at how that changed in later imperial designs. The metal drops dramatically lower, flares out significantly wider, and is heavily reinforced. This severe slope acted as a ramp for incoming force, physically changing the trajectory of a heavy cut and deflecting the kinetic energy away from the spine. You will also find small knobs and fittings on the crown of many of these helmets. While they held tall plumes and crests, those additions added weight and could snag on obstacles. They were removable accessories, clipped on for display or to mark out an officer, rather than permanent fixtures for hand-to-hand fighting. Every millimeter of the Galea's expanding silhouette responded to the specific physics of the front line, turning the killing arc of a downward blow into a survivable impact. Metal armor was a valuable resource. When a helmet got dented or cracked in a skirmish, the military didn't discard it. Fort workshops were constantly repairing and modifying gear. An armorer might take a shell that was decades old, heat it up to lower the neck guard to match a newer design, or rivet on a carrying handle for long marches. We know this because many surviving helmets have several soldiers' names punched directly into the metal. A single helmet would pass through unit storehouses, protecting different men over a lifespan of many decades. The Galea records the Roman habit of turning experience into equipment, borrowing foreign shapes, refining them through combat, and obsessively repairing gear to keep it in the line.